I don't know if y'all saw what we're doing for AC Board of Regents, but we did about a minute for an intro. You can go a little over. We're not going to be timing you too hard on these, but we're going to have questions and keep your responses to about a minute on the questions so we can get through as many of these as possible. And I'm going to go ahead and go down the list of who I see here. So we'll just go ahead and start the intros, and I'll let Robin Leah take it away since she's first on the list.
Okay. I'm Robin Leah. What else do you want to hear? Why I'm running again?
Yeah. Tell us why you're running again. Yeah.
Okay.
You've probably memorized that by now.
Yeah, I pretty much do. So I decided to run for school board because I felt that there was a lack of mothers on the board who had kids in the classrooms, and we're dealing with this every day. And so I think we need more parents on the board that actually know what's going on in the classes every day and are living it every day. So that is why I decided to run.
I love it when the candidates save us time. It makes our job so much easier. So Connie Brown, you're up next. Same thing. 1 minute. Tell us about yourself and why you're running.
Are you sure you don't have this memorized? You want to just do this?
Yeah.
We're all at the end of this now. We're all at the end of the forums. I am running because I believe I can make a difference. I believe that we have a difference that needs to be made. I was involved with about 50 volunteers that were looking through curriculum and that we have in place in our schools. I'm sorry, and I decided that I would help out. And as I got in there, I was like, oh, we need some changes. And I have ran a private Christian school for 20 years. And I am a business person and I do understand budgets. But most importantly, I just have a heart for us to protect the lives and minds of our children. And I believe it can make a difference. And so that's why I'm running.
All right, perfect. And I was going to say that, I bet your intro, Kimberly Anderson or Robin or John Mark can probably do it for you because y'all have all heard each other's spill so much. Okay, John Mark, you're up next. Same thing. Tell us about yourself and why you're running. All right, you with us? Yeah, okay. Oh, I think you got yourself muted.
How's that?
Perfect.
Okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, I think it's just really to kind of pay it forward a little bit. This school district and this city have done more for me and my family and given to me and my family more than I have given back. This is an opportunity, I think, for me to again to like pay it forward. And do what is best for students, keeping that in mind, making the decisions. It's kind of a twofold thing. Do what's best for students and equip teachers and administrators who work with our most precious assets, which are children, and at the same time being stewards, responsible stewards of taxpayer money, and making sure that the decisions we make for the benefit of students also makes fiscal sense. So really, it's just a continuation of trying to pay it back to this school district and city that have been so good to me and my family.
All right, perfect. And finally, Kimberly Anderson, go ahead and take it away. Same thing. Give us a little intro on who you are and why you're running.
All right, I'm Kimberly Anderson, running for re-election to the Amarillo ISD Board of Trustees. I love Amarillo. I was born and raised here, and I want nothing more than this city to flourish and everyone in it to flourish. And I know that starts with a strong school system. And I have deep roots in Amarillo ISD. I was a student and a product of Amarillo ISD. I went to Eastridge Travis, graduated from Paladuro High School. I have two boys that go to Amarillo ISD schools. I was a teacher in Amarillo ISD, and for the past 4 years, I've been serving on the school board in Amarillo ISD, and that gives me a depth of knowledge and experience to be a strong advocate for our students and our teachers and our community. In 2019, I ran because I believe you deserve a board of trustees that acts in the best interest of our students, that advocates for every student, and that is transparent, approachable, and accountable. And we have made progress over the past 4 years, despite all the unprecedented situations. But my work is not done. And so I'm running for another term and would appreciate your vote for re-election to the Amarillo ISD Board of Trustees.
All right, perfect. We have one person in the waiting room, and I don't know if this is an AISD candidate, so I'm going to let them in. We'll see. This might be Dick Ford. If it is, we can just let him do his intro right now. While we're waiting on seeing who this is, Dan Butcher, do you have a question that you would like to ask the AISD candidates?
Oh, I've got a lot of questions I can ask these candidates tonight. So I'm gonna start some questions, and I'm gonna let Thomas moderate the time. So if you go over, he'll let you know. But I want to start off with this, and I'm going to start off with Kimberly. Then we'll just go down the line. Currently in the state legislature, I think all of you are aware there's several pieces of legislation that could have a dramatic effect on local school boards, in particular school choice, the education savings accounts, etc. And so what I'd like to know from each one of you real quick is, what is your stance on this legislation? Are you for it or against it? Bad idea, etc. Let's start with Kimberly Anderson.
So I am against the current proposals that are in the legislature. They divert taxpayer dollars to private entities that have no accountability to the taxpayers. Now, I want to make it clear that our school district is not afraid of competition, but it is not competition if everybody's not playing by the same rules. Our public schools are subject to a rigorous, if flawed, definitely flawed, accountability system when it comes to academics and finances. We have to educate every child that walks through our doors. We are required by federal law to provide services for special education and other special needs. We are subject to a number of laws and regulations and requirements that private schools are not required to do. And private schools can decide not to serve a student at any time. They get to pick and choose their students. And so I am against sending dollars that my neighbors, the tax dollars my neighbors paid, intending to go to the school system in their community, the public schools, sending it to private entities that have no accountability to them, because your public schools are governed by publicly elected officials, and you have that accountability.
That's your time. All right, perfect.
Okay, let's go with Connie Brown next.
Well, this is a matter that I've said that I could probably argue well from each side. I see issues on both sides. I have been looking at this for 30 years, probably. I do believe that the Republican Party platform states basically that if this takes place, that it would be with no strings attached. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think there are going to be strings attached. And I don't know what those strings are. So I guess to answer the question simply is, I see both sides of the argument, but at the end of the day, my 3 parts of my platform are that I believe parents are the stewards of their own children. I believe that teachers need to have control in their classroom, and I believe that students need to be there to be educated and not indoctrinated. So I am a conservative. I'm a true conservative. So I have to say, I have to land on the side of parents should have the say-so of where their children go. And I understand tax dollars are involved with that. But I also understand that there's a lot of parents that pay taxes that also pay for other schools. And I also know that there's a lot of parents that can't have those private schools without this.
Yeah, and I hate to stop you, but that's your time.
Okay, let's go with John Mark Blue next.
Well, I think vouchers, Dan, are a red herring. They do not do what many pose they do. You can look at a number of states and see that. The latest example is Arizona. What it does do is help just a select few of upper private school tuition, but it does not help lower income families. It will not help them at all. And what it does is it weakens the public school system. And again, as Kimberly said, it's going to private schools who have no accountability. They don't have to educate the disabled. They don't have to educate special ed children. They just have no accountability to the state. Texas ranks 43rd in public spending per pupil, 43rd. If you had vouchers, we're probably going to drop to 46, 47, almost dead last in the United States. And so vouchers are just it's a program that sounds good on paper, but in practicality, it just does not work and weakens a system that teaches 5.4 million public school students.
Okay,
so I'm against it.
Hey, let's go to Rob and Leah.
Okay, well, this is what I feel. I feel like a lot of the argument is that it creates competition. But when you have competition, you're all playing by the same rules. And so let's take, for example, a race. We're all going by the same stopwatch. And if we don't all have the same accountability, I don't see how there can be competition. My children actually went to a private school. And when they came out of that private school and we chose public school, they were actually behind. They were behind in math and science. And so my feeling is you have to have accountability. I do not believe the government saying there's no strings attached. There are strings attached with the government pretty much in everything they do. So it doesn't just affect the private schools, it affects the homeschool parents too. A lot of times why parents homeschool is they don't want the government coming in telling them what they can do. If you take that money, there could be strings attached. They could come in and tell you what you can teach and what you can't teach. So it has to be a level playing field. And in competition, we're all going by the same thing. So I am not for school choice. And
That's your time. Yeah.
okay.
And Thomas, will you indulge me with a follow-up with each one of them real quick?
Yeah, I'll be happy to. So we have gotten a lot of questions from people about the bond election that took place with AISD, I guess last year now. Feels crazy that was a year ago at this point. But, you know, it has been. So looking at that bond, those bonds failed, but there are still some needs that exist with the schools. So I'm just going to go ahead and let Connie Brown take this first, and she's first up on my list. In what cases would you support putting another bond on the ballot? And are there any needs at AISD that are pressing enough right now that you think need to be addressed in a bond in the next few years by the school board?
Again, I am a fiscal conservative, so I'm not going to be the first one ever to jump on the train with the school bond. However, in cases of emergency or dire things, there are times that we do have to spend tax dollars, you know, and we have to look at that. I'm not on the school board right now. I don't have access to all the information that I would need to make a qualified decision, but I can certainly guarantee the voters that I will be a strong conservative voice, and I would always look to other places, ways that we can find money. And also, you know, I think sometimes we think we need to build something that's so large or so expansive when honestly we could do something simpler and still meet the exact need that we have.
All right, thank you. And Rob and Leah, you're up next, same question.
I believe that we really need to look at the needs and the wants. Is it really a need that we have, a very pressing need for the students? If so, let's look inside our budget and see if we can meet that. I know from personal experience, because I've been helping fundraise, fine arts is a department because I'm living it every day and looking at the band hall at Tascosa High School and their practice halls. And I know, and I am passionate about fine arts. I can say that right now. My daughter is a harpist at the Tascosa Band and Orchestra. I had one that went through violin. And so right now, that's a huge need because I help fundraise money for it. And so am I against all bonds? No, I think it's a need basis and really looking at it and seeing what's in our budget and then moving on from there.
All right, perfect. And John Mark Blue, same question.
Yes, so whether you voted for the bond or not last year, the voters clearly spoke. And I think what they said was, we will not vote for a bond this costly. So we have to look at first of all, we have to look at the budget. If something is what I would think is a need and is not in the budget to pay for, then we have to go to the public and say, what will you accept? It doesn't do any good to throw something out there that the public will not vote for. And again, as Robin and others have said, we had to make a list between wants and needs. Yeah, we all want everything, but there's certain things that we really need. And then we have to convince the public, the voting public, that if we do go to a bond, that it is worth the cost and it would be an acceptable cost. Last year, obviously, was not. The voters spoke. We need to listen. We need to go back to the drawing board if another bond proposal comes up in the future.
All right, thank you, John Mark. And before I let Kimberly Anderson answer, do we know who Judy is? That's not Dick Ford, is it? I don't know.
That's not his wife's name, so I would assume it's not him.
Okay, it's okay. We'll figure it out.
It's Laurie Gilliland. I'm CISD. My computer thinks I'm Judy.
You're up next, so we'll get you in just a second. So Kimberly, same question about the bonds.
Go. So everyone made really, really great points. So I'm going to try not to be redundant because of limited time, and there are things I want to say. So the first thing is, I cannot imagine myself voting to put a bond on a ballot again unless we have committed a year at least to communicating with our community and talking about what we're asking for and the why of that ask. And so that's that part of the question. I think it's really important for citizens to understand how complex school funding is. We have two different tax rates. One is maintenance and operations, which is our everyday budget, which is payroll, supplies, that kind of thing. And the other is INS, interest and sinking, which is debt service for bond payments for construction. And really the only way for us to have money for construction is either to issue debt or to take it out of our M&O budget to find a place in there. And with us, the way we're funded on the basic allotment and average daily attendance. And so the legislature sets a basic allotment, which is the base amount they think we need to. I know it's way too much time. We're not getting any more money per student this year than we were in 2019. And there's been 16% inflation. And so it's really hard to put back money for construction projects when you're working with less money per student every year.
Sure. That's great. I want to ask this specific question. We haven't done these for any of these races, but I got one in, for Robin Leah that I want to ask her specifically, and then we're going to wrap up with all of you. Robin, we got a question in on our email a little while ago about your platform and your policies and the fact that there have been some rumors that have gone around about your position, I guess, on Amplify and some of those issues. Can you just address that for everyone really quickly? And if anybody else wants to jump in on this question, feel free. But Robin, since it was directed to you, if you want to go ahead and address it.
Sure. Yeah. So I found out about Amplify the same time everybody else did at a board meeting. And then there was lots of rumblings about it. So I took the initiative and went and met with some curriculum coordinators at AISD. And then I went to the meetings and I started to hear the parents complaining and everything. So I think it's great. Amplify was brought in because they needed to fill the gaps of learning that had taken place. And I've learned this from going to the schools. Amplify did that. I love it that the parents spoke up about the concerns that they have. And I also love it that the district listened to them. They pulled people out. They looked at it. They've taken stuff out that will not be there next year. I've gone into the classroom. I've looked at what the kids are doing. I've been in at least 25 classrooms since March. I visited with the teachers and the principals and administrators, and kids are reading, kids are engaged, kids are learning. And so I support that. If a parent ever has a concern, absolutely say something. You need to say something. If you don't want your kid participating, don't participate. The teachers will work with you. The administrators will work with you. But burning down the barn to get rid of a couple of rats is not the way we do it.
All right, that's your time. Perfect. Does anyone want to add anything on the Amplify issue, since that's become fairly controversial this year?
I do.
Okay, go ahead, Connie.
I just, that is the curriculum that I was discussing, that I helped to review and helped 50 volunteers to review. And I understand that there has been a lot cleaned up, but I have just this week, we just with current data have produced about I don't know, it's probably a 15, 20 page magazine that has the issues for CISD, also AISD, and also the libraries, school books, but it also has Amplify information in there that we find problematic and that is current and is still in there. So my concern is I do know that some things have been taken out, but I don't think we're there. And I am very suspect of the Amplify curriculum. And so if someone would like that, they can go to my website or my Facebook page, and I can send them the booklet or get it to them.
All right, perfect. If anyone,
can I ask a question real quick?
yes,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Okay, so my question is, what's your solution? What is the solution if you get rid of Amplify? What is your solution? I haven't heard any solutions, and so I'm just curious, what is the solution?
I would have to say, and I've said this in public forum before, I don't think, I think there are other curriculums that we can look at and have more confidence in. I'm not saying that this is an overnight fix. I think we're looking at possibly maybe 18 months to turn around. I don't have an exact on it, but I don't think it's something that we can just close the book on and go to sleep and have a peaceful night's sleep with the situation where it is right now. Do I have the answers? No, I don't. But one of the answers I don't believe is to leave it in place.
All right, thank you, Connie. Well, if anyone or if no one else has anything to say on that, we'll go ahead and wrap up. We did this question with the AC Board of Regents candidates, and I'll give it to all of you now. And we're going to let Kimberly Anderson take this first just to wrap up. I know this is a hard question because it's hard to describe yourself in such short terms, but if you're elected to the Board of Trustees, how would you describe your philosophy as a school board trustee in 3 words or less?
Kids first. Let's make that compound. Knowledgeable, hardworking.
All right, perfect. John Mark Ballou, same question, 3 words or less.
Listen, study, and act.
All right, perfect. Connie Brown, same question.
Conservative leadership teammate.
Okay, excellent. And Robin Leah, finally, same question.
Authentic, reliable, and responsible.
All right, perfect. Well, candidates, we appreciate all of you so much taking this time out of your Sunday night to talk to us. We really appreciate y'all taking the time to also speak with voters about what matters to you. And I hate to kick y'all out of the room, but we're about to do Canyon ISD. So thanks so much, everybody, for being with us, and best of luck.